So I'm gonna try and repair this NES system. I got this for free thanks to the generosity of a friend. Thank you, Brent, but it didn't have a power supply, and when I used another power supply that I had and put a cartridge in, it just flashed red. So I Googled that, and that sort of said, often this is the 72-pin connector. So I grabbed one of those on eBay. This was quite a while ago, but I grabbed it from one of the sites where it's, $7 or $8, and it takes about a month to get there. But if you're willing to wait, you can get some new 72-pin connector, which you can see there, for a pretty reasonable price. I bought an actual first-party power supply at a used gaming store for about $13.50, just to have sort of a complete system. And I'm going to try testing with the Zelda cartridge, and I'll quickly show you what the symptoms are of it not working. I'll get it hooked up in a second. I'll open it up and plug it and get the power on, and then I'll take it apart and put in the new 72-pin connector, and then see if it actually works now. All right. Okay, so put the cartridge in, hooked up the power, have it hooked up to a monitor over here. Probably won't need to look at the monitor right now because it will not be working. One thing to keep in mind though is that actually there's the old thing, you take the cartridge out, you blow on it, you put it back in again. That does sometimes work. I tried this many times in this NES and it didn't work. I have another NES where it does eventually work if you put it in and out a lot of times. So it's not always necessary that you have to replace the 72-pin connector. The theory is the blowing on it doesn't help, but you actually make a better connection every time you put it in and out, and maybe clean off some gunk. So I'm using cartridges that I've had working before on another system, and we'll just turn it on and show you sort of what has been happening. So just flashes. I've tried many. Actually, there's something happening on the TV which may or may not happen. The light just flashes. So we're going to take this apart, put in a new 72-pin connector, and see if we can actually get the game to come up. So flipped it over. There's a piece here. I took that off. It was for a modem connector that somebody made for some accessory that isn't generally available to consumers. So there's just 6 screws, and this was before Nintendo got into using the tri-wing screwdriver, so they're actually just regular Phillips screws, and should come out easily. So I'll go and do that. So I got the screws out. It was a little bit trickier than you would think, but it's open now. So the trickier part was that it just seemed like screwdriver head actually worked for 3 out of the 6 screws, and what you do not want to have happen is you do not want to have a strip screw down at the bottom of a deep hole in plastic, because you're never getting that apart again. So I looked around, got another screwdriver that seemed to work, that had a good bite, and pulled the rest of the screws off. So it's apart now, and then I have to just take off this heat shield. There's a couple of screws here and another one there, and this is actually the 72-pin connector here, I believe. That will eventually be replacing, but we have to just sort of get everything out of the way before we can get to it. So it turned out there were 7 screws. There was 2 here, 2 here, 2 here, and 1 there to get the shielding off. So now we're into the mechanism. Actually, the cartridge goes in from this side, and you can see it's got the mechanism and and I've turned it around, so this is actually the 72-pin, but last time it was over there. So this is where we're gonna pick it up. So we're gonna try and lift this, undo this, and then flip it over so we can get access to flip it over this way so we can get access to the 72-pin connector and replace it. So I've got it open now, and the shield's flipped to the side, and there's also 2 screws down here, and 2 screws here. Note these 2 screws are longer than the other screws, so make sure you put the long ones back there. And there's also 2 screws here. Yeah, so this can now flip up. I'm gonna have to take these screws off to get these are the screws that hold the 72-pin connector in place. So I'll take those out, and I should be able to swap this old connector for So just to show you when things go wrong, this screw is getting pretty nice and stripped. It's really stuck. I've got a good bite on it and I can't get it loose, so I'll have to work on it a little bit more, but that's the kind of thing that can go wrong when you're taking these older things apart. So using some pliers and a slotted screwdriver to get some bite. It's pretty damaged, but slotted screwdriver should put it back in. It was just the initial, there's a lot of friction. Once it was loose, it came out easily. But yeah, now I'm ready to try and replace the 72-pin connector. And the cartridge slot just actually slides off, and you're left with the 72-pin connector that's now with the screws removed, friction fitted to the board, and I'll just pull that off. So I've taken off the old connectors over there. This is the new connector, and you just have to friction fit it back onto the, see this slot here? Okay, so I got the new 72-pin connector on and slotted the cartridge loading mechanism, and now I just have to put all the screws back and then get the board settled back in and put all the shielding back on. So putting the bottom shielding on before I flip it back over and attaching that. Sorry, it looks like the bottom shielding has no screws on that side. I just had to put it on, and then in the bottom, and the screws will go down through here to attach it. So it doesn't attach from the bottom, it attaches from up here. So cartridge loading slot is back in with its 6 screws, and now the heat shield will go over top and be screwed in before we put on the base, which will also screw back in. So shield is back on with all 7 screws attached. Now just to put on the base, flip it over and screw in the other screws, and then we'll give it a try. I was just about to seal it up, and I had 2 screws left over, and I realized I missed these 2 screws here, so I opened it back up again and put those in. So it's good to count and make sure that all the screws you took out go back. Having a bit of trouble getting the screws on the bottom nice and tight, but I'll work that out later. For now, we'll just give it a quick test. I might have to actually just take them off anyway if things don't work out well. So we'll see if we still get the same flashing light, but actually we get Zelda up almost instantaneously. So that was the problem, and that is how you fix it. So that's pretty awesome. All right, thanks for watching my video.